Welcome to the Best in You podcast hosted by Aslam Khatri, entrepreneur and author of A Matter of Destiny, Passion, or Wish. Join Aslam as he teaches you about self-empowerment through the experiences in his life's journey. Tune in if you're ready to empower yourself and change your life. Let's get into it.
Have you ever felt life consistently happens to you? That you are the unlucky one, that you never get your fair share of the things? Frustrating, isn't it? But what's worse than that is the lie that we continue to tell ourselves. It's the trap that we reinforce within ourselves, a trap that holds us back from being the best. But here's the good news. As we have been talking in my other episodes, self-victimization is also a learned behavior, which basically holds us back. Hi, my name is Aslam Khatri. Welcome to my show. Welcome to the Best in You. I always believe that we all have the best qualities within us, so why don't we explore it? We all have hopes, dreams, aspirations. We all have goals. So if you're looking for an inspiration, or you're just here for a little change, welcome. Let's get started. Nothing ever good happens to me. Sounds familiar? That is the sound of the self-victimized person. So why does that happen? What is that brings that mindset that keeps on bringing you down every time you think you want to get up and go and do something? Why is it, and how can we build our mindset from a victim to a volunteer, to the architect of our own life? You see, self-victimization is a habit, and it's not about any legitimate suffering or trauma. You see, those things, they deserve a lot of attention, but not self-victimization. Because self-victimization is a pattern. It's something that we bring upon ourselves consistently. It's a pattern that takes every setback as a proof that the world is against you, that they are out to get you, that it is you who does not get the fair share. But you see, here's the fact. We continue to dismiss the fact that we have the control on it. You know, the loop of self-victimization is that we consistently blame other people for our own behavior, for things that can and will go wrong for you. I'll tell you a story of somebody that I met a long time ago. This gentleman was a businessman who ran a very nice business. But at the same time, the nature of businesses were changing. Big box stores were coming in. And this gentleman decided that the big box stores are his enemies. Instead of working with them, he kind of loathed them. He didn't want to work. He didn't want to say anything. And to him, they were out to get him. Now, there were so many other companies that did so well working within the system, working with the big box stores, but not this gentleman. So finally, he wanted to put his company in sale. We went to see it. In those days, we were looking to acquire companies. We went to see it, and we rejected it, not because of his product line, not because of anything else, just because of his own attitude. And his attitude was so negative. He was so looped in his own self-misery that he could not see it any further. Finally, we did not do the deal. To end the story, he failed. His business failed. And those who were his competitors, those who were his peers in that business, they went on to thrive by selling it through the big box stores. So you see, where other people saw opportunities, he saw a tremendous amount of hurdle. But not only a hurdle that one could cross, but he saw that they were coming to get him. And that self-victimization is a mindset. You see, self-victimization is a protective behavior. Perhaps when you were a child, you got attention by showing self-victimization. Perhaps it's an excuse not to do certain things, or perhaps it is just avoiding the risk that we need to take in being our real life. But over time, this mindset becomes a prison. What was easier at the beginning, what we think that we can flow through, becomes a very difficult thing at the end. It becomes a prison that we create for ourselves. So how do we get ourselves out of that prison? What mindset do we need to get out of this thought of self-victimization? I have always talked about various things, and don't take me wrong, because everything that we talk about is so simple. It is just so simple. It's just that how do we apply that in our life? See, so one of the things that comes to mind is taking this thing head on. One of the things would be generalize for 1 week. Write down every day what somebody has done wrong to you. What is that has happened? Analyze it at the end of the week. And then think back and say, was that true? Did that is really what that has affected me? Just by realizing it, just by writing it down, just by going through. Because we go through our life, right? Everything happens, this happened, that happened, and then you say, oh my God, nothing is. But if we can become aware of that, and if we can write that down, we can write that down as to what happened. And when we look back, sometimes things don't look the same way. They look differently. How about if we reframe our language? Instead of saying, I cannot do it, to say, I have not done it yet. You see, when we use negative words, like I cannot do it, all it does is it keeps on reinforcing and keeping us under that blanket of that comfortable that we don't need to do anything else. But when you challenge yourself and you say to yourself that I have not done it yet, then things become different. Take micro actions. Start by small decisions. The decisions that you think you can make, just the little ones. Every small win is a win, and that takes you forward to another good stuff. You must embrace the discomfort. You see, taking things head on and knowing that it is a discomfortable thing, but I'm going to do it, makes it only easier for the next time. You see, and finally is the role of gratitude. You see, we are framed in such a way. The way we live in this world is that we look at the negative first. And because the negatives are always there, we embrace them. And we never look to see what good has happened. Now, if we could honestly look and give gratitude and be grateful of all the good things that have happened. In the case of this gentleman I talked about, he was so down on himself that he couldn't see that he was running a decent business, that he could have, with the cooperation, do a lot of things. But even if he didn't want to do any cooperation, he had good things going on in his life. You have family, you have children, you're breathing, you're in good shape. You go on and on, there's so many great things, but what we do is we just take those for granted and don't give any gratitude for that. So unless and until we give the gratitude and keep a gratitude journal to say what is going on in our own life, we will continue to have that self-victimization, because what we have done is, instead of putting any attention on the good things that have happened to our life, we just continue to look at the bad. So the gratitude plays a great role in going forward in your life, in knowing that so many good things are happening. Why am I stuck only on my old stuff? Now, let's clarify one thing. That's for sure, that being a victim is a fact. There are things happen to us. If you've been abused, if you've been hurt, if you've been cheated, if somebody has done you wrong, yes, you are a victim. But that's an event. But to feel victimized every day, that is a mindset. So by no means that we're saying that we are not victim, because there are things that go on day to day in our life that make us feel that do us wrong. But that's the life. That is what the life brings in every day. My father used to say, that's part of life. It is something that will always happen. If you're driving a car, somebody will pass you through. But that's something that you do not control. It is not because it has happened to you. It just happens to be an incident. You see, self-victimization is just a habit. And like any habits, it could be unlearned. Next time you see yourself slipping into something and you realize it through your journaling or through your mindset, stop yourself. Just to stop yourself, and you will see the rewards of it. Just by being aware that this exists, that this is not happening to me, but I am doing it to myself. And that alone will help you go forward. You see, self-victimization is very seductive. It makes us feel good. It makes us accept our condition. It makes us accept the position we're in. But this seductive thing can cost us our own potential. So here's a challenge today. Can you, for this week, just keep an eye on your own mindset and see what is you're doing based on this mindset of self-victimization? Or is that really true? Try to distinguish between a happening, which is just a day-to-day, things will happen, or the way you take them. And that alone will show you as to how, just that alone will teach you, that alone will basically bring into you as to what needs to be done. Remember, you're not powerless. You're just out of practice. You see, having difficulties is the playing field. That's what it is. But then having your own agency, having your own control on your mindset, that is the most important thing. So is how we look at the things. That is the most important things. I hope you learned something in this talk today. I'm Aslam Khatri. Till next time, goodbye.
Thanks for listening to today's episode. We certainly hope you enjoyed. Don't forget to rate the podcast and subscribe. We'll see you in the next episode.